Mike is here. Hello, Mike. Do you read us?
I can read you, although it took me 35 minutes to get from the main entrance of the Gaylord into the lobby. This is the most massive. I forget how massive this convention space is.
It is its own zip code. It is its own country. The reason for Here Comes the Sun, George Harrison would have been 82 today, passed away back in 01. So, and in his lot in life, George Harrison was one of the great songwriters of the 60s and 70s.
That's right.
His fate was to operate in the shadow of those two other guys, Lennon and McCartney. Anyway, so God bless George. We're playing some George. How are things going? I hear the wonderful murmur of background noise on the convention floor. It's going to be a great time for you.
Yeah,
today.
we're right across from the Texas Ballroom where Salem Media Group is hosting its giant breakfast. I said I've got to duck out because I've got a plan. I have a date with my buddy Mark Davis to talk about. First of all, I'm getting harassed. I couldn't get through 10 feet through the lobby without people saying to me, Mike, what's the location of your big lunch with Mark Davis?
What's the frequency, Kenneth?
Where is the restaurant? And I said, I can't tell you. Mark has sworn me to secrecy.
Of course.
I did like stumble across Mesa because I know that's right by here. It's not Mesa, so I don't want anybody to think it's Mesa.
Do you know what happened? Additionally to that, I had 5 people text me who said that Mike accidentally blurted it out.
Right, that's what I mean.
But they misread you blurting it out because there is a fairly famous franchise, I think it's a franchise called Blue Mesa. I don't know if there's one of those in Grapevine, and it's not that either. So
no, there's nothing with the word Mesa, but I am sworn to secrecy. I'm under oath. Mark has this goofy idea that we can't tell anybody where are we going to be able to tell people tomorrow? So let's remind everybody. We've got 8 listeners who donated $1,000 each.
Sure did, and they deserve better than to be mobbed in the parking lot by other people.
Did you tell me there's a lady driving in from Waco?
Yes. Yeah.
How cool is that?
Isn't that great? That's
neat. Well, I can't wait. So we'll do the show. We'll head over to the location to be disclosed later. We'll have our private lunch at a round table. This is King Arthur, and make no mistake, Mark is the king. Okay, I'm Voldemort, or no, I'm the.
I have a logistics question for you.
Yes.
So it's you and me and 8 listeners at a table for 10.
Yes, a round table.
Because the long table would have been silly, because even if we are centrally placed, you and me in the middle, person over there at the left, person over at the right, or a football field away. So the round table enables us to all see each other.
Nobody thinks that nobody's brain works the way your brain works.
Well, there you go. I can't find my shoes, but I can do stuff like this.
You are right though, because I've been at events before where there's a long rectangular table and the people on the end are left out.
Hello, remember me? Exactly right. But here's my question about the placement of you and me. Do we sit side by side as co-high priests of our domain? Don't think so.
No.
I think you are opposite me.
No.
So that we can yammer at each other across the expanse of the table. It also enables 4 people rather than 2 to enjoy the thrill of sitting at our shoulders.
Well, first of all, it could be alleged that we're probably putting a little bit too much thought into this.
No, I want to deep dive on this.
But
man.
I think
I have to know.
But I'm your co-pilot. It's pilot, co-pilot. I think we sit shoulder to shoulder and have the group around. But that's okay. I don't know. I mean, I don't like being across the table from you. That's dumb. First of all, I never get to see you in person very often. So let me enjoy my brief moment.
We need proximity. Sit on my lap. We can invite another person.
I kept telling you we should have 2 tables and go back and forth. My first cruise, we had 460
back
people.
And forth.
I'll never forget this. And they said, Mike, we want you to say hi to the people at dinner.
Of
course.
Well,
you have to go from table to table. I never got to eat. I went hungry on that cruise because I always had to go from table to table. And hey, let's talk a little bit about some breaking news. And you and I talked about this the day before yesterday, and it dawned on me that we never got to it. Dan Bongino, Deputy Director of the FBI.
Yeah.
First of all, can we take 2 seconds to acknowledge what kind of a sacrifice, a personal sacrifice that is for whether it's Bongino? You said it best on X. Seb Gorka, these guys walk away. I don't think it's a mystery that those of us who have national platforms or in top 10 markets or shows all over the country, we don't exactly make minimum wage.
We're not eating dog food.
We're not eating dog food. So for Bongino, and Bongino has one of the top podcasts in the world. Oh, in the world. And do you know that's where all the money comes from?
Exactly. He makes more off the podcast than he does off the radio show.
Way more than he does on the radio. And so he's taken a government job as the deputy director of the FBI to suffer the slings and arrows of the angry left. And they're coming at him. And, he's a ridiculously unqualified. And who the heck is he?
Again with the qualification.
Oh, I know. Yeah, because Pete Buttigieg was eminently qualified. Admiral Rachel Levine. Now, there's a qualified figure in public service, okay? Spare us the histrionics about lack of qualifications. But the personal sacrifice these guys are making, Mark, to say, I'm going to walk away from a cushy, high-paying gig to serve my country, to be in this Trump administration, to clean up the mess. And boy, does the FBI need fixing. Golly, and incidentally, this opens up a whole different can of worms with broadcasters because Bongino's got a big prominent spot in that broadcast and radio.
Westwood One is the big organization that sort of syndicates the Bongino show, and Rush Limbaugh passes away 4 years ago, just a couple of days ago. And who's the big, the Premier is the company that did that. And in the actual show that filled, nobody can fill his shoes, but the next show that company offered was Clay and Buck. Okay. And they're doing fine too. Bongino on Westwood One occupied most of the Rush stations, including here in DFW. And so it probably had a bigger platform than Clay and Buck. So that's sort of the midday landscape of dominant midday national radio, other than my friend Mike Gallagher. So, but you've asked the question exactly. Industry insiders are wondering, there's going to be some lucky stiff who gets tapped to do that.
Right.
And let me take 30 seconds. Everybody's been extremely, extremely kind that it ought to be me. That's not going to happen.
You better believe it ought to be.
Well, number one, what, not be able to talk to you anymore? Are you high?
Well, we could figure out a way to do it. I mean,
exactly.
I'll ride your coattails. You'll take off. You'll be on all these thousands of stations, and I'll be
good.
like little. All right.
I'm good. I'm totally good. But somebody, and there is no air up. It's so.
Well, there is kind of. I mean, there's a lot of people in the mix. Charlie Kirk, of course, who has just got a meteoric rise, and he's been doing great with us. And Salem is proud to host him.
Go ahead, but Charlie is our property, and he's obviously that mix for dominant midday shows. And but he works for us, and this could be wonderful for us. That maybe a lot of stations carrying Bongino would suddenly be carrying Charlie,
right?
But Westwood One still has to offer up a show. They've still got to.
It's complicated.
It's wild. So there's going to be some interesting midday listening options, but none of them as good as you.
But good for Dan, good for Seb. I talked to Seb again night before last, and he's Chris DeGaulle and we had dinner last night. Chris is here as well, and Chris and Fast Eddie. And by the way, this is the funniest thing. I've got to share a personal story about Fast Eddie, his producer.
He's just a trip. I love these guys. I worked with him, and just for a day filling in for Chris. I had them down after they finished doing the show. Said, "Come on down and hang out." So Chris and Fast Eddie came down, sat in the room with me. I got
to know Eddie, and I got to know Chris on the Alaska cruise, and that's where I really became enamored with him and realized what a special guy he is. Well, Fast Eddie, who's this amazing character, he texted one of the executives at Salem and said, after he checked into the Gaylord, and I don't know how many remotes that Eddie has done with Chris, but now it's a different spirit. I mean, you're in the national stage, and it's a national show, and Eddie says, I got a big problem here. I don't know what to do. And Tom says, what can I do, Fast Eddie? Fast Eddie says, I can't afford anything on the Gaylord property. It's $14 for a scoop of gelato. It's $27 for a cheeseburger. I'm going to have to go off property in order to eat. Now, going off property is like leaving, like you said, the county.
Going to the next county. Exactly.
Takes
10 miles to get off property.
So, and Phil Boyce, the big boss, said, well, Fast Eddie, you are on a business trip.
Expense it.
You can expense it. Well, then Chris DeGaulle tells me, but Fast Eddie doesn't want to use his corporate card. So, look, these are a fun bunch of guys. They're a little quirky, Mark. I mean, they're a bit quirky. That's kind of what
That's like hand me the piano, a sentence I've never heard in the English language. I don't want to use the corporate card.
I don't want to use the corporate card. And of course, the boss loves that. They're like, good for you.
And Chris needled him and said, "Are you trying to curry favor with the company by sparing them the cost of
we go to
$20
dinner.
nuggets?"
We go to dinner last night because they saw me when I was checking into the hotel, and I had to take Fast Eddie to the Texaco. in order to buy provisions because he didn't want to buy provisions because he couldn't afford the provisions on the Gaylord property. Oh, yeah, like trail mix and bananas. I'm like, Eddie, you know they have trail mix and bananas here at the Gaylord. Well, not at these prices.
Exactly right.
Well, exactly you can. So anyway, but I had a great time, and I was talking to Chris about it, a lot of things last night, catching up with him. And you're right, and he loves you, and we love him. And Chris said something that was so profound. We've never seen Sebastian Gorka so ecstatic.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's like. In fact, Chris thought he was drunk the night of the inauguration. And I said, that's not drunk, that's happiness.
It's sheer joy.
He's giddy.
That's not alcohol, that's happiness.
That's giddiness. And you've
that's wonderful.
And I will admit, a giddy Seb Gorka is a little alarming. I mean, you've never really seen this big, imposing guy with the thick British accent, and he can't stop smiling and laughing. And
I can't stop smiling, Mike. I'm beyond joyful.
Dr. G.
Thanks, Dr. Gorka.
He is in spasms of ecstasy, and we are too, because every day, this kid yesterday, this Harry, what's the kid, the influencer with the big bushy brown hair? His name is Harry Sisson, I think.
Yeah, he's like 27 and
he's a
stupid.
young kid, and I always try to give these kids grace.
No,
David Hogg.
He's dumb as a mud fence.
I know, but they're out there and they're slinging it around, and they hate he posted something. Well, I told you, MAGA is turning on Trump. There's buyer's remorse. We tried to warn you.
What?
Buyer's remorse.
From
day.
Whom?
Well, he's claiming MAGA is because of the federal workers who voted for Trump. They can't believe they've got to be accountable.
Well,
the people being laid off.
Well, okay, can you find an occasional federal worker who might have just gotten axed, who voted for Trump, who's going, wait a minute, what's going on here?
Occasional.
As if that's Teflon. I got a text yesterday that said, hey, Mark, we're coming down way too hard on these federal workers. Some of them are veterans, and some of them are family people, and I said, listen, this can't matter. The government must be much smaller, and some of the people who are RIFT, reduction in force, are going to be Trump voters, are going to be veterans, are going to have kids. If we set up Teflon, we won't get rid of anybody. We'll never get rid of anybody.
Yeah, but the truth of the matter is, we are Gorka-like giddy. We are ecstatic.
Exactly right.
We're thrilled. Every day is like Christmas morning. Every
Mike,
day,
it's
like let the hits keep coming.
But I'm afraid, enjoy it while you can, because, Mike, we have, I think, 26 days left.
Before, James Carville's prediction, it's all going to collapse.
Yes, James Carville on the podcast said, "Tell you what's going to happen, MAGA. It's all going to collapse. Mary, give me something to eat. It's all going to collapse. It's just going to collapse. Public opinion, it's all going to collapse. It's going to come crashing down."
I know. It's
what a moron.
Yeah. Well, he was the one that predicted that Kamala was going to beat Trump anyway, so you go with that, By the way, final text on the MyPillow text line, which is working here at the Gaylord with our fancy equipment. And Barry, the engineer, your engineer here, Barry and the team. and Johnny,
Barry's the best.
Barry is so good. And
Johnny
anyway,
Toy,
it's all working great. Johnny Toy is here. And Willie Nelson. If I get out of here without him giving me a rendition of On the Road Again, I'll be disappointed. Yeah, we have Willie Nelson as one of the engineers on site, and Anna. So we got a whole team here. But yes, there's a Willie Nelson.
Do we have a guy named Willie Nelson?
We have a guy named Willie Nelson. I promise you. And he's great. So, and I'm resisting teasing him because I'm sure his whole life, all he's ever done has been teased about his name.
On the Road Again?
So finally, Aaron in Southlake has a very good text. Yes. He doesn't want to guess. He just said, for lunch, are you getting the lasagna, the tacos, the fried rice, or the chicken tenders? But I'm not asking location. I just want to know what you guys are going to eat.
Are you telling me that there's a restaurant that has all four of those things? If so,
No.
I'll change the location today.
He just wants to know, based on my answer, he wants to know which restaurant we're going to. If it's tacos, it's probably Mesa.
Gotcha. I thought it was like one place that had all of those. So
what's the fare? Give them a hint. What's the fare going to be? American?
Nope. That's too much of a clue.
Come on.
Look at the time. Gotta go.
Right.
You have a show to do. Bye.
If you text me at 800-655-Mike, I'll tell you.
No, you won't.
I won't. All right.
Nope.
Can't I text people?
Oh, no. Oh, yeah. 100 people don't have your text line. Oh, thanks for telling us, Mike.
I think people need to know. I think this is an outrage. You're keeping this a secret. I'm really resentful.
I'm a man of the people. I am a man of the people. You know who the people I'm looking out for today? The 8 people who are going to hang out with us.
That's fun. I can't wait for that. Well, we'll tell everybody tomorrow. Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. Mike at the Gaylord. Mark Davis, 660 AM.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.